Losing someone is the most painful thing in the world to deal with. Sadly, this is what pushes an American guy to travel the world, thinking it will ease the pain in his heart even for just a while. In his room, Cooper Redfield finishes packing his bag. He makes sure to bring his key and phone, and he almost forgets his passport. He then quietly goes downstairs and soon leaves in a car where he ignores his mother's call. Upon arriving at the airport and boarding his plane, Cooper plays a video game on his phone. However, a flight attendant asks Cooper to turn it off, leaving him with no choice but to comply. After that, Cooper befriends the young girl seated next to him. Later on, Cooper arrives in Australia and continues to visit other countries like Thailand, India, and Spain. He takes pictures everywhere and tries various cuisines, enjoying his time as he goes to different tourist destinations. Eventually, Cooper arrives in London, where he rests for a bit inside a cafe while drinking coffee and checking his dating app. It isn't long before he finds a girl he likes, Sonja, and swipes right as he looks at her profile. That night, Cooper meets with Sonja in a bar. Sonja says she's been working as a technology correspondent for about 2 years now, focusing on tech industry pieces. Cooper then shares with Sonja that he's almost done traveling, mentioning the countries he visited and the things he did. He even shows Sonja the wound he got when he went to Pamplona. Sonja asks him if he's traveling to find himself, and Cooper admits that he is. However, he's supposed to go home the following week, and when he asks Sonja what she should do next, they end up sleeping together in her place. Sonja playfully wakes Cooper the next day, seeing a scar on his shoulder and guessing how he got it. So Cooper reveals it was courtesy of Josh Peters, a high school mean guy. Seconds later, Sonja notices that Cooper's phone is vibrating and gives it to him. Cooper's mother is trying to reach him, but he ignores her call again. Afterward, Sonja makes breakfast while Cooper checks her collection of video games. Soon, Sonja serves her guests his food, but they are interrupted again by a phone call from Cooper's mother. Sonja advises Cooper to just answer it, but he's just not in the mood to talk to his mother. Then, Sonja points out that his mother is probably worried about him, prompting Cooper to share why he's been avoiding her calls. A bit reluctant, Cooper states that he still lives with his mother in Syracuse. He says his father died from Alzheimer's disease the previous year, recounting how the man would sometimes look at him and not recognize him. Now, Cooper doesn't know how to talk to his mother, confessing he doesn't know where to start, which is why he went on that trip. Cooper just wants to get away and make new memories while he can, saying he'll deal with his mother when he gets home. Feeling Cooper's pain, Sonja kisses him on the forehead and tells him to call his mother, but he's just not ready yet. Later, Cooper tries to withdraw cash from an ATM machine only to see he has insufficient funds for that transaction. He then calls the bank and learns he lost his money due to identity theft. At that moment, Cooper considers calling his mother, but he changes his mind. With no other choice, Cooper returns to Sonja's place after calling and telling her what happened, and luckily, the woman allows him to stay with her. Inside, Cooper looks for a job using the Odd Jobs app so he can buy a ticket back to America. He comes across an ad from a company called Saito Gameu, which is about a playtest deal. Upon hearing this, Sonja asks Cooper if he's heard of the game Harlequin Shadow, and gives him a magazine showing Sho Saito, saying he's the company owner. According to Sonja, Saito Gameu is working on a new project that involves big money, but nobody knows anything about it. Then, Cooper says he'll try to get Sonja an exclusive with Sho. Tempted, Sonja tells Cooper to take a photo of anything Saito Gameu's working on, pointing out that it'd be worth a fortune. Wasting no time, Cooper heads to Saito Gameu's office, where he is greeted by an employee, Katie. He's told to leave his bag behind, and Katie leads him upstairs before asking for his phone. Katie turns it off as she enters an experiment room with Cooper, and there, Cooper reads the non-disclosure agreement. Katie wants Cooper to understand that a small medical procedure is involved in testing their game, but she assures him that it's no more invasive than having one's ears pierced. So, Cooper prepares to sign the NDA, but he realizes that a page is missing. Katie gets the contract and leaves the room, and while she's gone, Cooper takes his phone that the woman placed on the table. He quickly turns it on and opens the case that Katie left, taking a picture of the gaming equipment inside and sending it to Sonja. Afterward, Cooper goes back to his seat and acts like nothing happened as Katie returns to the room. Katie gives Cooper the contract and lets him sign it, explaining that they're working on an interactive augmented reality system. She then secures Cooper's head to the chair and implants a mushroom into his nape, saying it's not permanent. Next, Katie places some discs on the table and sits, telling Cooper he might feel a slight twinge as the mushroom initializes. Commencing at 5:38 p.m., Katie activates the device, but Cooper's phone suddenly vibrates because his mother is calling again. Surprised, Katie immediately turns it off, and once the mushroom is ready, they begin the test. Katie instructs Cooper to watch the targets, and the discs that she put on the table serve as holes. Then, a pixelated mole comes out of one of the holes, but Katie fixes it to make it look more detailed. Cooper can't help but admire the mole and even tries touching it, so Katie Katie reminds him it's only a mental projection and that he's the only one who can see it. Katie asks Cooper to give it a whack, and when he does, the mole hides in the hole. Finally, Cooper realizes he's testing an augmented reality version of Whack-A-Mole. Excited, Cooper starts playing, and the mole eventually surrenders. After that, Katie informs Cooper that it was just a limited test demo, saying he should beta test the full experience they're working on. She also adds there'd be more money in it, and Cooper quickly accepts the offer. Moments later, Katie introduces Cooper to Sho Saito in his office. As they sit, Sho expresses how much he likes making players jump with his horror game. He then tells Cooper that they're working on the most personal survival horror game in history, one that works out how to scare people by using their own minds. While Sho explains, Katie once again secures Cooper's head to the chair and attaches a cord to the mushroom, uploading a neural net package. Katie says it's state-of-the-art intelligence software, which will monitor Cooper's brain activity and try to work out how best to frighten him. At the same time, it will adjust his experience accordingly. Once they prepare the mushroom for the horror game, Katie lets Cooper stand, and Sho asks him if he's ready to play. That night, Cooper is taken by Katie to the Gamekeeper's Lodge, which was the model for the Harlech Shadow House. Inside, Katie explains that Cooper simply has to stay in there alone and see how long he'll last until he's too scared to continue. Cooper can't believe he'll be paid by just doing that, and Katie informs him she'll be back in the control room watching him. Katie also tells Cooper there are cameras all over the place before giving him an earpiece so they can communicate. After that, Katie reminds Cooper there's nothing he'll see that can physically harm him. Everything is just audio-visual, but they can pull him out at any time if it gets too intense. Eventually, Katie leaves Cooper alone, and the guy starts looking around. While Cooper is in the kitchen, Katie communicates with him through the earpiece. Katie watches from the control room as Cooper opens a bottle of wine and returns to the living room with a drink in hand, observing a painting of the Harlech Shadow House. With nothing else to do, Cooper starts a fire in the fireplace and sits in a chair with his feet resting on a chest. Cooper then talks to Katie and tells her he keeps forgetting he doesn't have his phone. Since there's no TV in that place, Cooper takes a book and starts reading. However, he sees a spider on the floor, and Katie points out that his heart rate has just increased. Of course, it's all part of the experience, so Cooper is the only one who can see that. Suddenly, the spider climbs on Cooper's chair and scares him, which Katie finds funny. Annoyed, Cooper tries killing the spider and stomps on it, but there's nothing on the sole of his shoe when he checks it. Cooper realizes how realistic and good the game is, and he sits to get back to reading. When the light flickers, Cooper notices something strange in the painting. The light is now on inside the Harlech Shadow House, and as Cooper asks Katie to zoom in on it, a man appears by the window. Then, Cooper gets distracted upon hearing a cracking sound, but when he checks the painting again, everything's back to normal. But the weirdness doesn't stop there, for a loud noise from upstairs startles Cooper. Cooper hears footsteps from the second floor, so he stands by the staircase to see what's happening. Cooper tries to convince himself that it's just some leaky pipes, but he screams and accidentally hits his head on a birdcage when a man suddenly appears before him. Despite that, Cooper regains his composure, describing to Katie what he's seen. Seconds later, Cooper realizes that the man looks like Josh Peters, his childhood tormentor. Katie says the system could be mining some of Cooper's personal memories for texture, but when she asks if Cooper was scared of the guy, he replies he wasn't. Then, Cooper returns to the kitchen to get more wine, and as he recounts his trip to France, Katie notes that people sometimes talk more when they're afraid. Cooper just ignores Katie and looks for snacks in the cupboard, finding more ginger snaps. He expects Josh Peters to be there once he closes the cupboard door, and sure enough, Cooper sees the guy's shadow. However, what comes out of the corner is a giant spider with Josh Peters' face. Again, Cooper describes to Katie what he's seeing, but the earpiece unexpectedly malfunctions. Irritated, Cooper returns to the living room and hears someone knocking on the door. He thinks it's Katie coming to fix the earpiece, but when he opens the door, he finds Sonja. The woman warns Cooper he's in danger as he lets her inside the house, but Cooper thinks she's just part of the game. He only realizes Sonja's real when he pinches her cheek, and as Sonja runs out of patience, she tells him they need to go. Sonja explains that after she received the photo that Cooper sent, she dug around and learned that Sho had taken out of patent for computer-brain interface the previous year. But Cooper doesn't believe her, thinking that Saito Gameu brought her there to mess with him. As Cooper thinks it's part of the test, Sonja reveals that Sho's patent got rejected outright because it was dangerous. Still, Cooper disregards Sonja's explanation and leads her to the kitchen to drink wine. Exasperated, Sonja tells Cooper that 5 people have disappeared in the past year, all tourists registered with the Odd Jobs app he used. Sonja tries to make Cooper understand that whatever Saito Gameu did to him is dangerous, and that they must leave, but Cooper just laughs and asks how she found him. Sonja then replies that she tracked Cooper's phone using Find My Friends, but Cooper tells her his phone was taken from him. Exposed, Sonja takes a knife as she tells Cooper that she cloned his card while he was asleep, which is why he was hacked. She reveals she drew Cooper's attention to that job, walking toward the guy as she threatens him with the knife. Although he's pissed, Cooper just tries to leave, but he's stopped by the giant spider. As if that isn't bad enough, Sonja stabs Cooper in the back and fights with him, so Cooper throws her onto the shelf. Not giving up, Sonja jumps on the table and tackles Cooper, slamming his body against the floor and causing the knife to completely pierce his shoulder. Then, Sonja's face suddenly turns into a red skull as Cooper grabs her hair, prompting Cooper to impale her head on the knife. But seconds later, Sonja disappears and Cooper realizes he doesn't even have a wound. As if on cue, the earpiece works again, making an enraged Cooper scream at Katie. The employee tells Cooper he hasn't been responding to her, but all Cooper can talk about is how he felt the pain when Sonja stabbed him, and how realistic she was. Confused, Katie tells Cooper that's impossible and asks him to calm down. However, Katie starts thinking that maybe the neural net worked out some means of replicating physical experiences, but she points out that it would be unprecedented. Distraught, Cooper just asks Katie to stop the game and pull him out, but when Katie tells him to wait, he tries removing the mushroom himself. Thankfully, Cooper hears Sho in the control room and starts to calm down. Then Katie informs Cooper they'll commence with deactivation, asking him to follow instructions and make it to the access point. She orders him to go upstairs and enter the room at the end of the hallway, but Cooper hesitates because he thinks his mother will be there. Eventually, Katie convinces Cooper to go inside the room, where she reveals there's no access point. Katie says that she only asked him to come up there to see if they've broken him enough to obey instructions without question. At the same time, Cooper realizes the door is gone. Katie then asks Cooper to describe his mother to her, but he can't remember what she looks like. Cooper also fails to answer Katie's questions about his childhood, and when he exclaims that his memories are being taken away from him, Katie clarifies they're being overwritten. After that, Katie tells Cooper to look in the mirror and asks if he can recognize himself. Katie says Cooper will just be like his father, adding that it's what really scares him. Cooper removes his earpiece, but he still hears voices in his head that say he'll never see his mother again, making him punch and break the mirror. He then uses a shard of glass to remove the mushroom from his nape, but 2 guards arrive to stop him. Katie is also with them, telling Cooper she'll shut off the device as soon as she connects to it. Sho shows up seconds later, learning from Katie that the interface has data tendrils like roots. She informs Cooper that they've dug in deeper than they're meant to and threaded through his brain, and there's nothing she can do to stop it. Unfortunately, Cooper says he doesn't know who he is, prompting Sho to apologize on behalf of his team and order the guards to take him away. But suddenly, Cooper wakes up in Sho's office, screaming and begging them to stop. Katie quickly removes the mushroom from his nape and points out that he's been in the game for just 1 second. She says Cooper is either super susceptible to that or the software is way too powerful still. In the end, Sho apologizes to Cooper and lets him leave, but he still gets his money. Cooper finally flies back to America and gets home, finding his mother in her room. However, his mother doesn't recognize him and just takes the phone, saying she has to call her son. It is then revealed that when Cooper's mother called him on his phone in the experiment room, it caused a signal interference with the mushroom. Cooper died in his chair, and when Sho arrived, Katie explained what happened as Cooper's body was placed in a body bag by employees. As it turns out, the entire game experience only happened in Cooper's head during the 0.04 seconds that the test lasted. Meanwhile, Katie completed Cooper's death report, noting that before he died, he called his mother.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.